You are now listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc, sharing insights through real, honest, and practical ways to improve your communication and relationships. Featuring your hosts, Dr. Pamela Kreiser, Meredith Edwards-Nagel, and Taylor Polindo.
Welcome back, everyone, to our last episode of New Year's resolutions for 2022. We're glad you're joining us. Hello, Meredith and Taylor. How's it going?
Oh, good.
So good. I like it. All right.
Meredith?
Well, we're back talking about the idea that we have resolutions, and can we take those resolutions that are commonly held in the United States and make them into relationship and communication resolutions? And so one of the common resolutions that we know people talk about in the United States is that they'd like to be less on social media. I hear that all the time. And like to be less on their desks, which I think a lot of people have talked about that even more in the pandemic. And so as we're kind of thinking about those ideas, we kind of want to think about what would we relate that to in terms of our purposes here.
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah.
Can you relate it for us, TalkDoc?
I can relate it for you. So one of the things that I was thinking about was that episode 15 we did, where we talked about how the average time spent on the phone and how it had gone up in the middle of the pandemic to over 4 hours a day on average. Some say even higher. And that's kind of an interesting thing to think about in terms of this average not getting smaller. It's a lot of time.
Yeah.
If you start adding it up.
It's a part-time job.
That's, yeah. Yeah. So if you haven't checked out episode 15, it's kind of a fun one where we talk about phubbing, which is phone snubbing, where people go on their phone and ignore the person in front of them. And I don't know, some other great topics too.
Mm-hmm. Another part of that episode.
She's phubbing us right now.
As she puts her phone up in her face.
Picking up my phone. No, I'm looking at my notes. But another part of episode 15, remember, told us that example. Was it in China where there's a pedestrian zone? So a place where you can walk slower and still be on your phone and not be that obnoxious person that's in the way of everyone else going about their day. So I'm hesitant to pull my thought about that because I don't want to totally give away my resolution yet. But the pedestrian zone has taught me from episode 15, but as especially we're looking at these resolutions now in terms of reducing social media, is to look up and out.
Yeah.
That's my sneak on my resolution.
Okay. A little teaser there. All right. So when we're thinking about the activity levels that we have, slowing down, being on our phones, the whole purpose of that zone in China is because they go slower. And I sort of have a love-hate with that idea. I don't know how you feel about it. This idea that it's kind of good to take those people who are going to slow us down and put them off to the side. But then I'm worried that even exists, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as I think about it, I just wonder about that. And so that gets us back to where we're talking, which is, you know, we're trying to get through this pandemic. We're on our screens more than ever, trying to get moving. So I think we need to start with a quiz.
Oh.
I know, I never have a transition.
Not where I thought that was going, but
that's not where you thought it was going? You thought I was going to have an insight?
Every time I'm like really focusing on what she's saying, I think, could this be coming? Could it be coming? Could a quiz be next in my future?
A quiz could always be next in your future, I think. All right. So here's the question.
I'm ready to win.
How many hours a day does the average American spend looking at a screen? Fill in the blank.
Looking at just a screen.
Mm-hmm. Of any kind.
Any kind. This is like phone, computer, TV. You said average?
Mm-hmm.
7 hours.
I was going to say 8. I'm going to say 7.5.
The answer is 7.
Damn.
Taylor wins. Nice.
Taylor with the bird too as she wins. She's not a sore loser at all if you didn't watch.
No, there's no
That
competition.
was not into the winning part. That was just for you trying to sneak in there.
I know I did. I tried. That was a little sneak move. You should have won.
All right.
7. Wow, that is a
Okay.
that
It
is
was
a
a little,
full-time job.
it was kind of quickly accurate, so it makes me suspicious, but that's fine. Let's try another one. According to the Mayo Clinic, how many steps does the average American take per day?
2,000.
I'm going to give you choices, Meredith
Oh.
Edwards.
Okay.
Nagel.
Oh, sorry, I'm so
Probably more
smart.
than that.
A, 2 to 3,000. B, 3 to 4,000. C, 4 to 5,000. D, 5 to 6,000. E, more than 10,000.
Not more than 10,000. Hell no. It's A.
Okay,
What
you say
was-
A.
B or C? What was B and C? 3 to
B is 3 to 4, and C is 4 to 5.
I'll do B.
You know what, Meredith? You are
lost
going
in-
down tonight.
I lost. I have no faith in the American population and their walking
Taylor's already
steps.
won the quiz, and she hasn't even answered the third question. There's no way you can actually win tonight.
Well, let me just give me the last question. Let me at least try to get it.
Okay, let's give it just to her.
My ego.
She never
No.
gives up. I like that.
Not
Okay,
fair.
so
So
who
it was
has-
3 to 4?
It was 3 to 4,000. B is the correct answer.
Okay.
All right, so who has the highest number of steps on an average day? Someone from A, the United Kingdom, B, the United States, C, Saudi Arabia, D, Japan.
I think I want to say Japan.
You are correct, Meredith. You get second
What?
place. She gets second place.
Taylor didn't even guess.
We didn't make her guess. She already won. I know. Okay,
I
so
would've-
so when we're thinking about this, let's think about the quiz.
Your
'Cause the quiz
resolution
is
is to stop
related.
bullying me.
No, you think about 7 hours on some screen a day,
Yeah.
Mhm.
3 to 4,000 steps, and then we have not our country. I'm not saying that we don't move, but on average, we are not around people that move as much as some other countries. And
Sad.
that kind of points to a concerning area about what are we doing with our time in social media or screen time.
Yeah.
So there's
because everything is on our screen. I mean, I do majority of my shopping, my communicating,
right now podcasting.
podcast. Yeah, like unless I'm out with someone. I don't know,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on there. That's how I
Well, it's,
manage all
it's
of
interesting
everything.
you say that because there's a new poll that was published in People magazine. The average US adult will spend the equivalent of 44 years of their life staring at a screen.
Stop it.
Oh,
That like made me want to throw up.
I was like, wow, I know we do a lot on the screens and some of it is very efficient. You know, I have to say, I'm not against screens, but that seemed like a really big number. 44 years.
is that someone who works on, like, I think my husband, he's on a computer all day long, where my work, I'm not anywhere on a screen.
Right.
So
It's the average. So yeah, you have people like him and you have people like you.
People game too, like what they do for fun, you know?
mhm.
Maybe I want to go for a hike that's off the screen, but some people for fun, they play games.
I want to watch The Office. Okay.
I mean, isn't that your go-to, Taylor, The Office? It is.
Yeah, it's up there. It's one of my faves. Okay, so we're spending a lot of time on the screen. We already talked about how we're overweight as a nation and everyone's resolution is to lose weight. So I would think this all kind of goes together.
Yeah, actually it does. It does. I'll go first. So here's what I'm thinking. I think if I do 10,000 steps a day, which I do sometimes, but I wouldn't say I do every day, it solves both problems for me.
Gets you off the screen
Yeah.
and gets you moving.
Yeah. And I think if I have my little Fitbit kind of watch thing that I wear, so I can tell, what my steps are a day. I mean, there's a lot of devices around. That's not hard for us with phones and everything. And
Yeah.
what I find is everything comes into balance when that's in balance. So that's the New Year's resolution for me. Got to do 10,000 steps a day. And then you can't be on the screen.
this episode to me seems like a big TC4G moment, like a big training comfort for growth, because it's super easy on a work break to just be like, I'm just going to scroll the internet or look for stuff online I need to get for the house or whatever, instead of like just taking 5 minutes to go outside or to do something that's
just walk around the block once.
Good for good or productive or just relaxing, you know? Because I think my go-to is usually I need to do something. So then you'll use the phone as an excuse of like, oh, this is me relaxing, but it's not really relaxing.
Yeah, true.
For social media, I know my friend, I've always admired, she only will go on it like one day a week. She has it like kind of scheduled, like I think it's Sunday mornings for her, but she picks like one day a week that she's allowed to like go on her social media. Or even if she doesn't follow that, she'll log out, she said, each time she gets on. And that helps deter her from getting back on. I know for me, I just peace out. I deactivate my social media and leave. That was like the first thing I did in the pandemic. It's like, I don't want to spend this whole time at home looking at the screen.
Yeah.
So that's how I tried to do it. But what does it all mean for us communicatively?
Yeah.
It's a good question to say what, I think it depends on what you're doing, because I think there is social media where you're engaging with other people. So if you thought about interpersonal, you with another person engaging via social media, that could have communicative value versus just scrolling, not interacting, because it's called social media. So I kind of laugh sometimes because I think it's like isolated media should be its actual name. And then occasionally it's social media.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So maybe be even more intentional about what kind of media you're going to be on a screen, what kind you're doing.
Like what you're ingesting.
I think so. And for what purpose? Because the purposelessness seems to be the problem.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, that's what I was saying. Like look up and look out is something I've been working on, is not confusing the relaxation of, oh, this is my me time, or this is what, and sometimes fine, it is. And I'm not going to knock people for needing that. And once in a while I do too. But I do think I overuse it just to like turn off instead of doing something that's relaxing, but restful for me. That's actually good for me. Whether it's, I've been trying to replace that time in the morning to like listen to some like mindfulness, or to genuinely just go on a walk and leave my phone at home for 10 minutes. And then it's just, you got to deal with yourself, you know?
Right. Or feel the feelings, or enjoy the silence.
A big one, honestly, and I have been bad at it, but I've been really wanting to get better, and I hate even saying it, is just don't look at your phone when you're driving.
Yeah.
You know, like just because I'm at a stoplight doesn't mean I have to look at it. And actually, like, I just putting it away. I broke the holder that held my phone up. And so that became like more tempting to hold it. But now it's like, well, let me take that as a moment to look up and just stop that.
Yeah.
So that's your resolution. Can you explain that a little bit to me, the look up, look out? I don't know if that literally are you saying from your phone, look up and out,
look up
at
and
the
out
world around you?
And even like I had an eye doctor once tell me when I was in school, and it was like, your focus is always 18 inches in front of you on the screen or in a book or whatever it is. My eye doctor was like, you have to practice those muscles. So she would say, look far out in front of you and focus on something for like 10 seconds. That's far. And allow your eyes like that opportunity to practice that muscle. But I think just for me, intrapersonally with myself, I would say this lesson for me, this TC4G for me or resolution, is to do those walks more in the morning where I leave my phone at home, or mindfulness in the morning or at night even, instead of using social media as more of a isolated media, like you were saying before, TalkDoc.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I like the idea of planning when to use it, because I am like right now, I'm home all day with 2 kids. So there's no kind of schedule of a start to a break to a get back to anything. I could literally have it on me And obviously I don't have it on the whole time, or my attention's not on it the whole time, but I could, other than the fact that my 2-year-old is, he's 3 now, is screaming at me. But if I am intentional and plan it, at 10 o'clock, I'm going to get on and I'm going to place those orders I needed to place. And I'm going to look at my calendar and schedule this. I'm going to respond to these texts, and then I'm going to put it down until this time. I think that sounds more manageable for me.
I like that. That's
Or-
a little more hands-on.
Don't you feel like
success.
you'll fill the time up if you allowed yourself an extra hour in there? Like what you just said, it sounds really efficient to me. And I'm thinking if you allowed yourself another hour or two, you could fill it up easily by things that aren't efficient.
Yeah. Because I can catch myself out, I'm on social media. Now let me put some music on. Now let me respond to that text. Oh, then there's an email. Oh, let me edit this. You could literally just spend all day on a screen, taking short breaks. So I do kind of like the intentional, this is work time. Like I'm going to get these things done at this time. And then when this alarm goes off or whatever, I'm going to set it down.
That reminds me, we're talking about episode 15 in phubbing and using your phone, and that's just a good resource to go back and listen to. But remember we talked about the episode and how much the three of us said we related to that high accessibility stress and the different tools that we could use to reduce those things. And so I actually enjoyed going back to listen to that as a helpful nudge into this resolution.
Yeah. Remind us what it does. And that kind of is a good conclusion to the end of this series that we're doing on New Year's resolutions. The question for all of you listening or watching, or both, the question is, what will you do for your resolutions? And it's not so much that you have to have 4, because we just did 4 different ideas. It's more about, what are you going to plan to do? And a lot of that goes, if you back it up even more, what is it about that you want your purpose for that thing? And so is it a relationship you want to grow? Is it a habit you want to reduce because it's not efficient or it's not healthy or whatever? And just challenging ourselves to become better. And we feel like just having all of you in our listening audience, truly grateful for your presence with us, and the fact that I think that's where we all come to the same page to say we're all trying to get better. So we don't listen to the podcast because it's entertaining, although it probably is sometimes entertaining.
Laugh at us.
The quizzes, right? But what I would say is it just comes down to thinking through what you want and getting some tools to get closer to those goals.
Yeah.
That growth mindset.
Yeah. So it's that dance of like, okay with who I am right now, but the growth mindset that I can see.
Yeah, for sure. So as we conclude this series, we want to tell you about a couple of important announcements. So one is we are about to be done with our mug challenge. What do we call this? Mug giveaway? Mug giveaway. So if you're watching us, we have mugs, and on one side is the logo. On the other side is the hashtag not coffee. And we are giving 3 of these mugs away to any of you who will share your story with us on email or Insta, right? So what's the email?
Yeah. hello@afafpodcast.com.
And the story is your best story, funny, good, bad, whatever it is, heartfelt, from your family survival kit and how you use those tools.
Yeah. And so we're going to pick 3 winners. And what about tagging it on Insta?
Tag us afaf.podcast.
Okay.
Come find us on there.
So we are going to take the month off after this. And what that means is we'll be back with you at the beginning of February to start a whole new season of our podcast. And that is actually our year anniversary.
Year 2. Let's go.
Year 2. So with that said, thank you so much for listening today and for being a part of our journey. And we're grateful for you. Once again, thank you for joining us today. Please remember to rate, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And thank you for listening to Asking for a Friend.
Let us know what you thought of the episode. Our email is hello@afafpodcast.com. This show is for educational purposes only and is copyrighted. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting. Thanks for listening to Asking for a Friend with TalkDoc.